Eala makes statement at Australian Open despite first-round exit. Eala's Australian Open debut may have ended in an early exit, but her presence left a lasting imprint on the tournament. She really brought a lot of energy to this Australian Open in a way that I haven't really seen any player do before. Certainly not someone as new on the scene, so making their tournament debut. Sports analyst Ben Rothenberg said, capturing the moment. Eala, the rising Filipina tennis star, was assigned to Court 6, one of the smaller venues at Melbourne Park, but the setting hardly limited her draw. Rothenberg noted that thousands of fans queued hours before her match, many waving Philippine flags and chanting her name. The crowd swelled beyond the court itself, spilling into nearby areas where spectators watched from video screens outside. On court, Eala opened in commanding fashion, dismantling American Alicia Parks 6-0 in the first set. But Parks, known for her streaky play, regrouped under pressure and mounted a comeback. Rothenberg observed that while Eala may have absorbed the emotional weight of the moment, it was Parks who ultimately flipped the switch and rode the crowd's energy to victory. The scoreboard told a simple story, but Melbourne Park whispered a deeper truth. When Eala walked off the court after her first-round match at the Australian Open, the numbers said, loss. Yet the feeling in the air, among fans who stayed, among commentators who leaned forward instead of packing up their notes, suggested something else entirely. This was not an ending. It was a declaration. Eala arrived at the Australian Open carrying more than a racket bag. She carried expectations, curiosity, and the quiet weight of being a symbol. For years she had been the promise, the Filipina prodigy training far from home, winning junior Grand Slams, sharpening her game against the world's best long before most noticed her name. In Melbourne, she stepped onto one of tennis' biggest stages not to audition, but to announce that she belongs. Her opponent may have advanced, but Eala commanded the moment. From the opening games, she played with a fearless clarity that belied her age and ranking. Her left-handed forehand cracked through the cool Australian air, skidding low and wide, forcing rallies that refused to end on her opponent's terms. She moved with intent, chased every ball like it mattered, because to her it did. There was no hesitation, no reverence for the stage. Only purpose. The crowd noticed. Between points, murmurs grew into applause. During long rallies, cheers erupted not for the winner, but for the fight. Every hold of serve felt earned. Every break point defended felt like a small rebellion against expectation. This was a first-round match on paper, but it carried the emotional texture of something bigger, a player stepping into her own light. Eala's game wasn't flawless. First-round exits rarely are. There were moments where nerves crept in, where an ambitious shot clipped the tape or sailed long. But even those mistakes felt instructive rather than discouraging. They were the errors of a player aiming forward, not one playing safe. What stood out most was her composure. In a sport that often exposes the smallest cracks in confidence, Eala held herself with calm resolve. She adjusted tactically, listened closely during changeovers, and never let frustration linger longer than a breath. When momentum shifted away from her, she didn't shrink. She leaned in. That, more than any single shot, was the statement. For Filipino fans watching from home, many through late-night streams and early morning alarms, this match was more than tennis. It was representation. It was proof that the path Eala chose, the sacrifices made thousands of miles away, are leading somewhere real. She didn't just compete at the Australian Open, she belonged there. After the final point, there were no tears of defeat. Instead, there was a nod, a handshake, and a walk off court that felt deliberate. Eala knew what she had shown. She knew what she had taken from the experience. And perhaps most importantly, she knew this would not be her last time under these lights. Grand Slams are unforgiving places. They reward readiness, punish hesitation, and rarely offer sympathy. But they also have a way of revealing futures before results catch up. Sometimes, the most important matches aren't the ones you win, they're the ones that change how people see you. Eala's first-round exit in Melbourne did exactly that. She left the Australian Open without a win on the record, but with something far more valuable: respect. From opponents. From fans. From the sport itself. She proved that she can trade blows on the biggest stage, that her game holds up under pressure, and that her story is no longer about potential alone. It's about arrival. The tournament will move on, as it always does. Champions will lift trophies, headlines will shift, and new stars will emerge. But somewhere in the memory of this Australian Open will be the image of a young Filipina standing her ground, swinging freely, and refusing to be overwhelmed. Eala didn't need a second-round appearance to make her point. She made it loud and clear in the first.